If you were assigned to Vietnam in 1970, what would be the challenge that you face? It would be to communicate to the American people the fact that our nation is involved in a great moral struggle and a great moral dilemma. And what you were really saying is, America, take a look at it. For heaven's sakes, look what you were doing to yourself. Look at the moral dimensions of the struggle. And if that is the way you choose to go, at least acknowledge it.
Chief Tony Bouza, Bronx Borough Commander until his maverick views cost him his job. In Harlem during the 60s, his leadership helped prevent urban rioting. Sensitive to the people of the neighborhood, he is still a tough cop.
Strangely enough, in the 60s, this society became a little bit visible, started to riot a little bit, disorders, started to hook middle-class youngsters on heroin, and boy, there was a hell to pay then, and methadone became suddenly available, funds, the Law Enforcement Assistance Administration was created, we were showered with goodies, and now we are a very efficient army of occupation, and the problem is invisible, and everybody's back to business as usual, and it's wonderful for everybody. We are creating here what the Romans did in Rome. We are creating a permanent underclass of unemployed and desperate people. They're kind of invisible. You don't see them because they drop out of they stop looking for jobs. They drop out of everything but the welfare rolls. They drink and they try to escape the reality of their daily experience. And of course, and here we live with them. But they're all dressed up and no place to go, and the society has no place for it. But now everything is being done by machines, and the second industrial revolution has sort of replaced unskilled human labor. And that's the only leg they can get up on the ladder. So they're really in trouble. And if these people weren't permanently pacified on alcohol, they'd be a lot more visible. If it weren't for the ready availability of alcohol, we'd all be in trouble. So what I would say is, America, take a look around. Look what you're doing in your ghettos. You're creating a permanent underclass of disaffected and poor, drugged on alcohol, on welfare, living in bombed-out situations, an educational system that doesn't educate, a bureaucracy that doesn't respond, the sanitation doesn't clean, the police don't police. We're all here, we're all very visible, and I suppose some of us are working reasonably hard, but the fact of the matter is we're all failing, and we're just a holding operation. Look around you.
Look around, and on any day you will see a major fire set by an arsonist. There is one every hour.
Like a festering wound that won't heal, the open-air drug market at 149th Street and Melrose Avenue in the Bronx continues plaguing the neighborhood with heavy drug use in broad daylight, people shooting up, addicts doubled over and vomiting, all of it right in front of the eyes of the youngest of children.
You see the kids, this is, look what they gotta walk by. Look at that.
Considered essential businesses and allowed to stay open in New York. Stores are considered essential businesses and allowed to stay open in New York State. That's led to a surge in sales over the last couple of weeks. But as Gilad Malama tells us, not everyone agrees this should be the case.
A flashing open sign lights up liquor stores across New York State at a time when many businesses are closed. Our Lorraine Collins has studied alcohol use for decades. She says she was surprised to learn liquor stores are considered essential business.
When we're asking people not to go out, to then say, oh, by the way, go out to the liquor store, does not really make sense.
According to the Associated Press, alcohol sales went up 55% nationwide and 243% online 2 weeks ago. We asked the governor's office why liquor stores are essential. They say food and beverage stores are essential business and liquor stores fall into that category.
New York lawmakers set to begin tomorrow the process to legalize the recreational use of marijuana.
The deal was struck over the weekend, and one of the biggest impacts will be on communities of color that have experienced a high rate of arrests over drug use. CBS News' Andrea Klein-Thomas explains why.
Before becoming an advocate, 69-year-old Carl Stubbs spent many years in and out of the criminal justice system.
I used to get busted for a little joint like this.
He was first exposed to marijuana as a child, thinking it was a better alternative to cigarettes. It's a decision he's never allowed to forget.
It messed my life up. Sometimes it makes me cry because I couldn't get a job.
Now Governor Cuomo and state leaders have struck a deal to legalize the recreational use of marijuana by adults 21 and over, up to 3 ounces outside, with guidelines on how much could be stored and grown at home.
In order to address the systemic racism that we know exists in our society, we have to look at the war on drugs.